What's up, world? Welcome to the Nola Experience podcast. I am your host,
Yes, you are.
Nola. He's picking on me. This is his subtle way of picking on me. It's revenge.
Guest star here.
We have a guest, and a lot of people won't know that.
You think so?
Our guest. You think they know who this is?
Nah, he's behind.
If they real listeners, they should
If
know.
they real listeners, if they real listeners, they know.
If you're a real listener, if you're joining today, it's all good.
Yeah,
Welcome.
it's all good.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining. Please come back. We love you. But usually we have this gentleman behind the scenes making sure everything is running smoothly and we're looking good, sounding good. Shot of Adrenaline is our producer, y'all. But he does other things in the world.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I do a lot.
Literally tell me
Is
about
that your
it.
way of saying he do too much?
No, literally, like, tell me about
Everybody is doing too much right now, seriously. But tell the people what your, are we calling it 9 to 5? Like, that sounds so outdated now. What do we call it now these days?
Your work passion, right?
What's
work
your
passion.
job? That sounds
Job?
don't sound good.
I mean, would you call it a job?
I mean, yeah, by nature it's a job.
Okay.
But,
We're doing way too
But it's
much.
also something
Yeah.
you're passionate about.
Yeah,
That's why.
for sure.
That's why I was like work passion.
so you guys might know me as Shot of Adrenaline, but to certain communities, I'm Eli.
That's a fact.
Even though that's kind of just like Shot of Adrenaline .1.
Yeah.
You know, same thing.
It's
But
true.
thankfully, I've been able to find my way into the technology space by way of a nonprofit tech company called Emergent Works that allows for folks to who are coming home to learn digital literacy and digital literacy and coding, pardon me. So, you know, the great thing about being at this organization is that we're helping folks not just learn how to code, or for those who don't know what coding is, programming. It's being able to prepare for the future. Like, being in the tech space doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a software engineer or you have to be, you know, a data analyst. If you have a smartphone, you're a digitalist, you're a technologist to some degree. And through our programming, we're really helping people find their niche in the future. So,
Dope.
Superb.
Okay, so it kind of sounded like that might be the topic. That ain't the topic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we love to highlight certain issues that we feel, you know, conversations should be louder, right? But we also like to present solutions. And Eli, now we're calling him Eli because
yeah, y'all can call me Adrenaline. It's fine. it don't matter. It's cool.
this is like a alter ego type
real.
of thing. Eli by day, Adrenaline by night.
Eli's alter ego. Nah, I'm playing.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, EW or Emergent Works offers a solution, so we're going to get to that. But today we're talking about the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah.
And what is that exactly? It's literally what it sounds like. Imagine a person, boy or girl, being in school, but having a very specific set of systems that send them straight to prison. And it sounds like a movie. It sounds like fiction,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
real. But we can't talk about the school to prison pipeline without first talking about real estate.
Yes.
Because really and truly, this is where it originates,
Yeah.
right? So we can talk about the history of banks and how lobbyists and the government affect the things, the vile and disgusting things that banks have been able to get away with. But what I want to highlight is the fact that for years, for decades, it's been a real thing that banks discriminate. You
Sure.
will walk into a bank and if you call them up on the phone, hi, my name is Michael. They don't know you're black.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael, we would love to have you come through. We can do da 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 for you. But then when you get there and they see
Yes.
that you're black, then all of a sudden it's, oh, okay.
That's still happening. I saw.
Oh, you live where?
I saw a post that was like, this guy had this black guy had appraised his house and got one number.
professor.
Then he had somebody else, a white guy, appraise his house or get an appraisal, and it was like double the number.
It's about
Crazy.
about $200,000 to $300,000 more.
God,
And
that's
he
so
actually
messed
studies
up.
discrimination. Like, he actually teaches that as well.
Wow.
And he knew that something was off with that. So he got a colleague to come in, and they removed all the
Shout out
photos.
to him.
Yeah, all of the photos out of the house. So when the appraiser comes, he doesn't know that this is a black person's house.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny that I actually dealt with that exact company to do a mortgage. That's so funny.
Really?
So when they came up on the news, I was like,
We out of here.
But
That's crazy.
yeah,
That's so
and they were
sad,
sued.
man.
They're, the multiple people are being sued with that. And yes, it is sad, because what ends up happening is the bankers, they will stick these black people in a certain area, and it's called redlining.
Yes.
Like, if you look at maps and diagrams that city planners have, they literally have a red line on it,
Yeah,
where
yeah, sure.
the red line.
Outline per block sometimes. So
Absolutely.
Specific. Yeah.
It's a fat red Sharpie, and they
Yeah.
sketch where.
Wish it was fat as thin.
You ever
And make
look
sure,
at
like, okay, this house is.
Oh, I
in-
see what you mean. Yeah.
you ever look at an apartment listing or a housing listing and it says quiet block?
Yes.
That
yes,
always
yes.
stood out to me. I'm like, the block is quiet.
Yeah.
So what's
like,
happening
we
around
made it that way.
But it's a thing where you could have one block that's just. I experienced that myself, where I was in an area where I'm not gonna say exactly where, but one block over, that's where all the crime
Yes,
happens.
yes,
Literally on that block, like, it doesn't spill out, which mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that has anything to do with redlining, because that whole neighborhood is redlined, and
Yeah.
you have a group of people who are, going through different forms of oppression, because when that red line is drawn, that red line separates the neighborhood with money and the neighborhoods without.
Access to resources.
Yeah. I also want to mention that like we were talking about with being denied at the banks, that also prevents us from obtaining wealth. And that causes a whole, pretty much in the same vein of those type of issues, because if you can't, get a house, you can't have that secure wealth. I think last time you were talking about, people take out their mortgages in order to send their kids to better schools and stuff like that. If we don't have access to that stuff, then of course we're going to be in the position where we're going to be in places of poverty. And as we all know, that way more likely puts you in the position to be able to put you in the position to be a criminal, end up in prison, and you're back in the pipeline
get caught up in
again.
the system.
Yeah.
And, Eli mentioned adrenaline, aka SOA, mentioned resources. You can have money, right? But a lot of times, and I will never forget when my brother said to me, referring to an area in East Flatbush, he was like, when kids come out of school, they don't have anything to do other than go home and watch TV. A lot of times, let's say summertime, there's a heat wave going on. People don't have air conditioning. Sometimes food they don't have, and activities in the house, they go outside.
Yeah.
You will drive by, walk by, and see people sitting on chairs on the sidewalks. A lot of times because the house is hot and there's nothing to do. And I'm always of the mind that the more I'm outside, you know how everybody's like, we outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, the more I'm outside, the higher the chances of something happening, depending on your environment, right? So when you have people in impoverished situations who are stressed, going through depression, having anxiety, and don't realize there's a lot of mental issues on this one block, something is bound to happen.
Yeah.
So these neighborhoods are also the ones that don't get funding in the schools. So just to be clear about the red line, we're separating the families who have resources and that can send their kids to, you know, these better schools, and we're separating them from the families who can't.
Yeah.
Precisely.
And when those kids go to school, they're coming to school with that anxiety and the depression
Yeah.
and just an energy of hopelessness.
Yeah.
They're going to get into things with each other. And statistics show that Black and brown kids, boys and girls, are suspended way more than their white peers. The more you're suspended, the higher the chances of you having an encounter with police before the age of 20.
Yeah.
If you have an encounter with police before the age of 20, the higher the chances that you will absolutely end up in jail or prison. That's a part of the pipeline.
Sure.
So one thing that always stands out to me is the fact that we come into this world and we're pure to some degree, because some of us do come in here wilding from jump, but we come into this world pure to some degree, and we're joyful and bubbly, bouncing baby and needing breast milk, and then you're walking around saying words and it's cute and everybody thinks you're cute, and by the time you turn age 10, you know, you start getting your personality and being in these environments again, in neighborhoods where the mental health issues are so high and prevalent. You're going to get affected.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And at some point, you're going to be interacting with people from that energy. And what happens?
Yeah.
You end up getting arrested because guess what? Especially in New York City, police is super prevalent in schools. We went from schools having faculty and teachers and parents collaborating to make sure that the environment is safe for kids. Then security was added, and eventually straight up and down cops are in the school. So every little tiny infraction, any little thing that happens, it's no longer, let's call the principal, let's talk to a counselor, let's, you know, speak to this male figure in the school that everybody's probably, you know, afraid of or respects a lot. Now it's the cops are right there. Let's just call the cops. Yeah. And what are they doing with the kids? You know what I mean?
What are some things that you guys are doing at EW to kind of like, I guess, combat this school to prison pipeline issue, or just even help after, you know, people have been through the pipeline?
You know, one of the main thing we do is provide folks an outlet to learn how to prepare themselves for the future in the sense of self-sustainability. You know, a lot of times when we talk about access to resources, it does stem from school, from education. And we provide technical education for system impacted folks. One of our programs is our marquee program is a one-on-one virtual mentorship where we pair folks with industry professionals, software engineer, to teach them about programming, coding, based on their skill level. There's 3 different phases which speak to a person's skill level, and based on that, in conjunction with a few other things, they spend a total of 12 weeks learning not only that material, but also building their own projects. So they not only get to learn, but they also apply it, as well as being compensated with a learning stipend. We also have a few other initiatives and programs geared towards the youth around really not nationwide, because we do have virtual programming, but here more specifically in New York, we have a partnership with the New York City Mayor's office, which called Next Gen. Laquan, what's up? That allows us to have a reentry mentor to help to help young people who are either system impacted or returning home from incarceration with that reentry support. You know, and from there they have access to all of our other programs. Which we have music programs, Trap, which Mr. Mele is the lead engineer for. Woo!
I always forget.
And Nola was also a mentee in the one-on-one virtual mentorship.
You forget that too. How long have you guys been operating?
Oh man, so we actually just celebrated 2 years the other
What?
day. Yeah.
Listen,
Yo.
Yeah.
the amount of
Done a lot.
things that you guys have done, it blows my
it's
mind.
like it sounds like you have a lot of experience because the things are so specific. Like you have the right things that are needed. Like, you know, the mentorship, like, oh, we have somebody to facilitate them to get jobs. We have this, like, it's so specific. It sounds like something that's been running for a long time. And like, we figured it out through, you know, experience.
I think a big part of that is the fact that
Years.
what I like about EW is we don't, you know, no shade to anybody, but it's a disservice when you have people from certain demographics serving people that they don't understand. And what I see at EW is a variety of perspectives
Sure.
and just a super diverse team, which gives perspectives from different directions.
Yeah.
So it seems like they've been around forever because the people have actually been out there and they know what
and a
it
lot of
should
people
look
who are
like.
in the organization are just as like involved or have been.
Yeah, or have been through the program.
Yeah,
But just
wow.
for more context, before we were Emergent Works, it was cooperative. This was before my time there. Shout out
Okay.
to Alex Chin and Army. You know, they were Army. Our executive director was a mentee as well.
Shout out to Army.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to Army for real.
So you know, the cards fell to a point where he ended up becoming executive director, and then through really just community work and knowing the people in the community, you know, you just start siphoning, you know, folks who can really help build that vision. I joined the program in the middle of COVID, just with the intention
Whoa.
of learning some more digital skills that I can implement into, you know, my music
Sure,
career and
sure.
my fan base. And then I realized, so if I know this, I can also make money from this, and I can also help solve some problems that I see in my direct career path. And you know, I stayed down, and thankfully now we have a team of around a dozen people now. So thank God,
Wow.
you know, the community has been pulling together to make sure that every single day of operation is not just impactful, but it's serving somebody. You know, we're just really big on serving our community.
Beautiful.
So one thing that I never considered is Black and brown women. I feel like every group gets painted with some type of stereotype surrounding sex. And I didn't really know that Black and brown women are discriminated against and sexualized from a young age. And the groups who were coming in to teach them, or the people who were running the schools, they don't necessarily understand the severity of these stereotypes, or even that it is a stereotype. And they come in already with a bias and judgment that ends up impacting how they interact with these girls. Have you ever heard people say Puerto Rican girls are crazy?
Yeah.
Puerto Rican girls, like, they crazy in bed.
Mm.
I was thinking about this the other day, and it clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, so that's what it looks like. That's white girls are crazy. Black girls are crazy. Indian people are crazy.
True.
Every single group that you can name has a side to them that's crazy.
Yeah.
But growing up in the hood, we perpetuated that stereotype as well.
Yeah.
So we would hear, oh, she's Puerto Rican, you know.
Yeah.
Or you would hear somebody's relationship story. Oh, the girl threw something at his car, broke a window or whatever. And then, where's she from? She's Puerto Rican. Oh, that's why.
Oh, yeah.
We fed into that too. And
Sure.
it didn't even occur to me like, okay, so this is what happens. So when you have a person from another group, let's say a white person, right?
Let's say.
Let's say, because it could be Asian.
anyone, yeah.
It could be, and it could also be another black person who's removed
Sure.
coming in with that stereotype. And I already understand in my head that, oh, Puerto Rican girls are crazy. So when I come to this school and it has a bunch of Puerto Rican girls, I'm tense.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm coming into this situation judging them, and I'm probably, based on that bias, going to treat them differently. And if I see a Puerto Rican girl maybe having anxiety, which might translate to me as aggression, I'm gonna probably call the police that's down the hall. It happens to black girls too, where black girls are fast. I didn't even know other groups sexualize young black girls
Yeah.
as promiscuous and fast. Meanwhile, I grew up hearing that the white girls are the ones that are drinking, partying, crazy, doing.
That's true. That's true.
So everybody has a stereotype that, we carry with us. And the goal is always to highlight these conversations, make them bigger, and figure out how do we get to the other side of it as individuals. We don't necessarily have to change the whole world.
Yeah.
My goal is not to do this podcast and, everybody that hears it, we glamour them. Glamour is a word from True Blood, where vampires hypnotize you, they glamour you. Like, I don't want to glamour people, and when they hear it, they're like, oh, stereotypes are gone. No, I want to make this conversation louder. So hopefully, if you're listening to this, have this conversation with somebody you know.
Sure. And I completely understand your perspective, because that type of mindset is how you generalize people. And when you do that, like, you kind of predetermine how you're going to treat them. Yeah. Instead of like treating them as an individual, as like their, that situation specific for that person. And you just, like you said, general. So when that black person walks in the bank, you already have your mind set up of who they are, what they do, how they're going to act, and what your action is. Yeah. What your action is going to be towards them. And I completely understand that. It's sad and unfortunate. It's
rather unfortunate.
Yeah. But like you said, that is the best way to go about it. We having these conversations, and we, speaking about it, putting it on the table, like, listen, this is not the way to go. We have done this for a long time, but it's time now to put it down.
But I love how we all end up enforcing these negative values. Yeah. Because I'm sure at some point in time, I had to have said Puerto Rican girls are crazy. Yeah. I'm sure I said that. Based on what, though? Like, based on
one girl that you knew.
Not even.
Or
just
some
programming.
Yeah, true.
It's just programming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you have really segregated living environments. Yeah. See, the thing, mindsets like that are pretty easy to breed.
Yeah. I experienced that a lot growing up in Brentwood, because if you know, you know. But
Brentwood, Long Island.
Yeah, Brentwood, Long Island is one of those places on Long Island that they tell people not to go. But man, I grew up there. Not to say it was squeaky clean, but like a lot of the boogeyman mentality that they put on it. It just wasn't there. Like, it wasn't there. Like, I never really had any issues. I know, obviously, I'm not trying to downplay anybody's thing. Yeah, people had issues. But I always have told people, like, listen, if you just keep your nose clean and you be all right. Because a lot of the people that had issues were people who called upon the issues. It wasn't like random situations. Like, it's not a place like you would go there and your car would just get robbed. Like, if you were looking for the attention,
it could happen.
You were in the wrong spot at the wrong time with the wrong people, it can happen.
You gotta get lit to get the smoke.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We're rapping now. Guys, when you bring musicians into the conversation. So to kind of, continue to touch on the aspect of the girls, because I feel like a lot of times when we talk about prisons, we forget that women are involved in this too. True. It always feels like when you hear jail or arrested or prison, for some reason, again, programming, your mind goes to, it's a dude, right? Yeah. But one thing that happens with these girls is the teachers and the faculty, they have low expectations of them. So they set low standards. And when you set low standards, remember, you're helping to mold the minds of these kids.
Yeah.
When these standards are set low, the dropout rate is higher.
Sure.
The higher the dropout rate, the higher the chance of being policed,
Oh yeah.
encountering police in some way, whether it's being stopped on the street. I've definitely cut school and been pulled over by police. What are you doing out here?
Me too. Oh my God.
And the more you interact with the police, the higher your chances of being arrested. And then you end up in a place where, thank God for EW that employs people who were incarcerated. People can come to EW. I don't want to put out a job ad, but people
can
No, I feel you.
Everyone
But,
come to EW.
Over
No, it's so
60% of the staff is system impacted.
Wow.
So that says
great,
a lot.
man. That does.
Over 60%.
Guess what?
That's crazy.
And there's a large number of those people who traditionally will not be accepted, one, much less hired. So what happens when you have people who were wrongfully incarcerated, people who were rehabilitated if they did have an issue?
Right.
What happens to these people
Yeah.
when they go into the world of jobs
Yeah.
or schools?
It's another form of like redlining, because we all know if you have a big F on your record, aka a felony, yeah, good luck, bro.
Bars.
Good luck. And for so long, like us saying, yeah, good luck, bro. It was used as a
Wow.
way to easily weed people out of these industries, out of these positions. So when you look at something like technology, which traditionally, the traditional candidate is, a white guy or an Asian guy, and like that was done, on purpose. So when you look at people who are qualified, not taking anything away from those traditional candidates, because those types of roles is about intelligence, it's about applying the knowledge,
Right.
but that's not exclusive to one group of people.
Right.
So now when you look at tech being 4.9% black, or just of people, people of color.
Wait.
4.9%.
Hold on. What? Wait.
Too low.
That
It's not. It actually isn't, because you
don't think
can't
that's too
name. No. It is incredibly too low.
that doesn't
But I'm
sound
saying,
right.
But
What,
if
you
you
think it's
really
more?
think about it, how many black technologists or black-led organizations or people
Absolutely.
just working, black folks, brown folks working in these different tech
I
spaces?
don't think I know one.
And
I mean,
that's a huge
who?
problem. That's a huge problem.
So basically, what I'm hearing is 4.9% of the people who are leading the charge in tech.
No, just black
90.
POC representation.
You saying 95%.
So no.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So the 95.1% are not people of color.
That's crazy.
So if technology is where the world is, and where the world is inevitably going to end up fully immersed in technology, and 95.1% of the people don't look like you,
Yeah.
what happens? Like,
I mean, you're not gonna feel inclined or encouraged to want to take those jobs or even go down that road.
and that's another
be able
mind.
to.
That's another
be
mind
able to.
trick.
Yeah.
That's another mind trick. Those are two things, right? Because typically we're thinking, oh, you're not going to get hired because they're going to hire their people. But what he just said is the part that we don't think about.
That's true too.
People, when you look into spaces and you don't see anyone
Yeah,
like
you
you,
be like, I ain't-
you're
I'm
like,
not
I don't
going
want to go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
optics is a huge part of life. You always got to do your due diligence and like know your shit. But at the end of the day, like I want to see myself in this space, So when we talk about music or entertainment, it's not a bad thing that so many of us are in that space, but it's just imbalanced.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If we're looking at like how to truly, what's the word? if we're looking to truly close the wealth gap in this country, it's about preparing people for the jobs that are actually going to be around a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now.
Because that's another thing.
And you know, when you keep people out of, or when you restrict access to certain resources for people, especially when it comes to education, it's that's the easiest way that you can leave people behind.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about saying, no, you can't do this.
Yeah.
We're just gonna say, oh, you have a felony.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're from where?
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know,
And
like
it starts,
it's always that.
It starts
over
young.
again.
It starts young, so that's why when we talk about the school to prison pipeline, it's already getting young people in the mindset that certain things aren't made for you, that you don't have access here, or you shouldn't even think about that because of where you live. So, you know, here at EW, we like to say the school to tech pipeline because technology doesn't. Being in the tech space doesn't mean you have to go to Yale. Doesn't mean you have to go to UCLA. Doesn't mean you have to go to MIT. You can have whatever education you have or lack of and still be able to garner enough skills to be able to provide yourself a high paying and or just a sustainable job in the tech space. We all have smartphones here. We all have social media. You know how many jobs require those two things?
Yeah.
We've been on MySpace. We've been on AOL. We've been here since the beginning of the internet.
We've been operating tech.
So in a lot of ways, the people who have built the technology space, especially Black and brown folks who a lot of technology is targeted towards, it's easy. It's remarkably obvious how imbalanced that representation is. So we can be the biggest consumers, but we can't be behind the board programming the apps. That's going too far. That's too much power.
It's like more redlining in another sector.
Exactly. Imagine if everyone on your block was making $75,000 a year, $80,000, and they actually had like cost of living adjustments. Like those things, which are normal in the tech space, like that should be more mainstream. That should be more accessible, because what that means is more people will have access to sustainable lives. They won't have to resort to certain scenarios or resort to certain even just crime because now they have a sustainable way of life.
Question for both of you, and this is like a two-part question. So solutions. What do you think are some solutions that we can do, starting with prevention? Like before we get to the pipeline, how do we avoid the pipeline? And then going into, if you do get in the pipeline, rehabilitation. Like what do we do after? So starting with before, how do we prevent? Just some ideas, or any ideas you have of solution, or stuff that you really know.
Well, for one, is exposing young people or younger people, like kids, to technology, how to use it for outside of TikTok. You know, like how to actually use this technology to build your resume, how to use this technology just to make your life more convenient. So when it's time for you to use put your story into your resume, you know exactly how to do it. You have a lot of these kids have skills that some of these grown-ass adults have reshaped their entire lives to get.
These kids are different.
Only difference is they don't realize, or part of me, they're not being told that these skills are profitable. So you can be a social media manager at 17 years old. You can absolutely do that.
It's almost like having a trade, like how, like in our generation, it was like you got to have a trade so you can get a job. Like, oh, that's crazy.
So imagine that same energy for folks that are just coming home from jail, folks that they know the reentry rate is super high, or they're in New York and they know that recidivism is like a little bit over 40, I believe, 40%, a little bit less. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So there's a lot of resources here these days, because a lot of people who have went through the system and then survived it and were able to get back on their feet, they didn't just run off. They still looked back and reached
Thank
their hand out
goodness.
Super facts.
and brought people in.
Thank
so
goodness.
from us, the internal team at Emergent Works, even to our mentors, folks who are in the tech space, who are looking to see a change in it. I had a mentor tell me one time, yeah, I got a great job and like I got all the money that I was hoping to get, but my job doesn't spiritually fulfill me anymore.
Wow.
Bro, you make, I don't even want to say how much money on this
yeah.
microphone right now, but your life is good enough to a point where you don't have to worry about the societal problems.
Yeah.
But internally, it's messing you up because you know what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Like we're talking to people every day who know what the next 3 years look like because some of their colleagues, some of their friends are the ones doing it. And they either don't like it and want to be part of that change, or they're, just trying to revolutionize this whole space by truly providing access.
Sure.
So,
I think that educators have to be better trained, because one thing that I've experienced coming into this country was when I moved to Flatbush, Brooklyn from Guyana. All of the white people that I interacted with were in some type of authority position. So it wasn't it wasn't classmates, it wasn't people in the neighborhood. It was police, teachers, doctors. And a lot of times they don't even live in those places.
Sure.
They have no interaction with these people outside of this job, them doing what they were trained to do. And they are often not trained to look at the human side of it.
Sure.
So when these kids are coming to school and they're behaving a certain way, we're not tapping into what's the reason why you're like this, where are you coming from, what's happening in your house, right? And it's the same with police. You have police from Long Island,
The eye roll is real.
it's real, though.
Suffolk County,
It's real, though.
who don't know any black people.
Yeah.
who are in Hunts Point or in
Hunts Point.
like Gun Hill Road or East New York. And it's not saying that they
Exactly.
can't. be
Gun Hill
there.
Road,
They're not saying
Brownsville. Sorry. No, because
My city.
it's very triggering to think that.
But the thing is like, it's not that they can't. It's the fact that there's no true effort to connect with the folks there. And I think no matter how much, there's always new trainings happening within different departments, especially these days. But what I don't think is necessarily being focused upon is that interpersonal connection you need to have with that neighborhood that you're patrolling. Yo, you may not grow there. You can care less about the people there, but you better respect the people in that neighborhood so they can do the same. And it's a two-way street, but it's hard to ask for respect when that respect isn't given back in an amicable way. So when you have people from different parts, and I'm sure they say they have their reasons. Oh, you don't want someone from this block patrolling this block. It's too close, safety XYZ. But it's not necessarily true, because we see community policing so many other places in the country.
Absolutely.
And not just focusing on New York, but anybody who disagrees with community policing being a viable option to really have have semblance with the community.
And they can the community policing, and just in general, even like you were saying with the teaching thing, it's important because the people from that community can understand what each other's going through. So you may see a kid down and sad at class, and you may be like, oh, maybe he got yelled at by his mom, or maybe he's hungry.
That's my exact point.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like things like
Exactly.
that they don't consider. And
But-
it's so funny you guys were saying that because it made me think about the reason why that separation is because of things like redlining.
But it's on purpose.
Yeah. All these things.
It's like,
It's absolutely on purpose. We're going to put someone into a neighborhood who isn't trained to connect with the humanity aspect of society. They're trained to look for, are you guilty or are you innocent? And if you're having some type of erratic behavior, which might just be some human response to something you experienced in an unhealthy or toxic environment, Nobody is looking at you like, oh, this person clearly needs nurturing. And a piece of advice that I've given parents, I always say that when your child falls down and gets hurt, you go to their aid, right? For the most part, you're like, what's wrong with your knee? Oh my gosh, it's bleeding. You figure out if the arm is broken, you go to the doctor. You try to get assistance because you on your own don't know how to heal a broken bone. So you go out there, you get, pain meds or whatever. But when it's mental, when it's an emotional pain or something that's happening spiritually, we completely overlook that. We don't attack it with the same tenacity that we do when it's physical. So the same thing that you would do for your child when they're having physical pain is the same thing that you should be doing when they're having mental pain. And teachers ain't doing that, because I grew up in a situation where I feel like I'm gonna homeschool my kid. And I didn't even know that. I didn't even remember that at 16, 17, I had already made the decision that I'm not sending my kid to school, because I didn't know there were schools that had better resources and people who were more attentive and more engaging and actually doing things outside of getting yelled at. And I've been in so many classrooms where it was super disruptive and the teacher was just there, just ignoring everybody, waiting for the bell to ring so he or she could move on with their lives. So again, me being in that space, not understanding that the world was bigger than that, I made that decision early, like, my kid is not going to go through this. But what was happening there? I was very, very intelligent, on a roll in school, but I ended up dropping out of high school. Wow. I didn't even graduate high school because the emotional and traumatic things that I was experiencing as a person, nobody in school looked at me or any of my friends who were going through things that they were going through and said, you know what? These kids need this, that, and the third. It was, people were, getting arrested was culture in high school. Yeah. People were getting arrested and it was normal. It wasn't, oh my gosh, somebody's getting arrested. It was, oh, this person just got knocked, or this person just got bagged, or this person just, the police probably drag them in the car, question them. It was just so normal. So the adults in the situation who were supposed to be helping to nurture us and prepare us for the world, they were just preparing us. And I'm speaking from personal experience, which is a reflection of millions of other Black and brown kids around this country. They were just pushing us out into the world of the justice system. And
putting you in the pipeline.
How can you avoid it when the first people that you see when you come to school in the morning are police? And they're usually not respectful.
Sure.
Because again, they're coming into it with this bias, right? These kids are, they're,
like you first
they
mentioned,
don't have ambition or whatever it is that they're thinking. So if you're coming into this situation knowing like, my friend has a pit bull and the pit bull likes to bite people, when you go to their house, you're already tense. A lot of these
or even
people,
if you see a pit bull, you're like, whoa.
Facts.
Pit bull
And
bite.
a lot of these teachers and police, they're scared too. They're coming into these situations fearful. So how are you meeting me where I'm at when, one, you're afraid of me, and two, you have no training to understand what I could possibly be going through, which is the same thing as you. If you, as a white person or any other type of human, experience a very specific sequence of events, you're going to react to it a very specific way, because we're programmed too. We're like computers too, right? So that's my solution, that the people who are in charge need to appeal directly to the humanity of it. But guess what? Prison is a business.
Yeah.
Prison is a business. Why would we
touch that?
Why would we as justice system people want everybody to be healed and getting along and not getting arrested?
Yeah.
That
it don't
can
make us no money.
Cripple
them no money.
The economy if jails and all of the companies affiliated with prisons the companies that make the toothbrush, the companies that make the uniforms, the companies that make the jail beds, the companies that are in charge of people in jail getting paid.
Yeah.
There's a very specific way that people get paid.
Company that needs the license plates printed.
Everything.
Yeah.
So prisons not existing will be a domino effect for banks that fund them, for moguls and billionaires that fund them. This will affect everybody. So do we want to lose our money? No. So of course, we're going to have this pipeline available so we can keep this funnel going and people
keep this cash flow coming.
The point of this conversation is for parents and people of the community to be aware that this is a thing. And now that you're aware, you do have a responsibility to keep an eye out. Kids that are suspended at a higher rate, pay attention to that. It's happening from preschool. They're suspending kids. What can a preschooler really do?
Yeah, that's insane.
Really? So if you're having some type of anxiety or reacting to some type of dark emotional state that you're in as a child, somebody's like, you know what? When you're going through whatever you're going through, you can't be among us.
Yeah.
You go home.
Yeah.
You go home for a day or two, or we kick you out of the school, period. That's the message that we're giving these kids, that when you're going through a crisis,
deal with it on your own.
You're not accepted. You're out.
Yeah,
deal with it on your own.
Wow.
So
it's true.
This conversation is to highlight this and for people to take a better look at what's happening around them, especially if your kid gets suspended. Yo, I'm a big fan of therapy. I especially in kids. I love it when people can start out in the world with tools, emotional tools. What do I do when something makes me feel anxious? What do I do when my emotions are so big I don't know what to do with it? And instead of punching somebody in the face, I figure out tactics of how to walk through those uncomfortable feelings. So that's my
solution.
To answer the question that you asked 30 minutes ago.
No, but it's important, and every small detail is important. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's awesome. Anything else? I think we're ready.
You ready already?
I think we're ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready for
Oh,
it.
yeah. I guess we got to explain this part of it, right?
Okay, you explain, because I feel like I just talked my head off.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So as you know, Adrenaline here is the producer, and he's the one usually on the other side of the camera asking us the questions. If you don't know, now you know. So we're going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to be the ones to ask him the SOA Q&A Adrenaline question of the day.
Okay.
Questions. Do we need to do the official intro?
I'm going to take a breath.
Okay, yeah. All right. You're right. We didn't take our breath.
Are we doing it together? Okay.
Yeah.
Just release all of that because it's very triggering. And I just want my body to release that energy. So normally we would do the mantra. We're going to have him do it this time.
I'm a guest, man. I don't know what y'all talking about.
The SOA. Go ahead.
Nah, it's all good. What's up, everybody? This is the SOA Q&A, a.k.a. the Adrenaline question of the day. Let's get it.
Go, AD, go! Get to my mic up. I said go, AD, go!
You have to be honest. Don't be trying to, because you be making us.
What here for?
Okay. So anyway, what would be your elevator pitch to aliens for why they should abduct you?
What would be my elevator pitch for aliens for them to abduct me? For why they should abduct me?
I hate elevator pitches.
If you would,
sorry.
huh?
Nothing good.
I mean, I would say Look, guys. There's no time like now, and clearly we crossed paths for a reason. So beam me up, Scotty.
Hey,
Look,
okay.
guys.
Look, guys.
Yeah, it's like, come on, let's cut the pleasantries.
Look,
I'm
my
here,
dude.
you're here. I want to know what's up there. You're trying to figure out what's in my head. Hopefully, that's the only place. And
Stop.
and let's get to it. Just make sure y'all bring me back in
Just
time
put everything back.
for Raising
No
Canaan.
probing.
No probing.
I bet.
That's funny. So if you had the opportunity to create a movie, what would the synopsis of your movie be?
The synopsis of my movie. What would the synopsis of, if I created a movie, what would the synopsis be?
Is it a movie by himself or just random?
Anything. It could be.
Okay.
Just keep it to a
anything.
movie. That's fine.
Could be-
If it's just a movie, I would say, well, one, I would call it Only Up From Here. And then the synopsis would be 3 people from going through some 3 different extreme, huh?
3 people.
No, guys.
Oh, no. Y'all got y'all own lives.
Wait,
This
hold
my
on, what?
movie. This my movie, all right? Nah.
We're
it
in
would-
the movie.
it would be a synopsis. The synopsis would be about 3 people going through like 3 extreme ass circumstances in life, and somehow they cross paths, and at that intersection point, that's when the problem or the answer to all of their problems were solved, and
that's fire.
journeying in what that means for each person. And so I don't want to give away too much
Nah,
because
that's
I
a
don't know
good
who's
idea.
watching it.
Yeah.
All right,
That's a good
all right?
idea.
But yeah, so I really
He doesn't
I would
want
like
me in the movie, so that movie's gonna be trash.
That's a good
He
idea.
excluded us from the beginning. Like,
All right, no,
That's a
tell
good
me.
idea.
all right,
Give me some
so
extras.
wow, I copy that. All right, so next question.
Yeah.
What's something weird that you do when you're at home and nobody's watching? Keep it real. Keep
Something
it 100.
I don't want to say like, go on like Pornhub or something because that's mad obvious. Like, the fuck? It's like everybody's done that. That's not
common.
awkward.
That's regular.
Pornhub is so
That's just a
outdated.
Tuesday.
All right.
Yeah, like what are we talking about?
right.
Oh, I know. I have conversations with the TV, so I like talking to myself, which I don't think is weird. But like when I'm watching movies, I like to have like dialogues with them before like whoever they're talking to actually responds, and then like it allows me to stay more engaged with the movie. But I don't like doing that around other people because it's distracting, and I think
It's very distracting,
I haven't
I
had the best
imagine.
experiences with people catching me
Considerate
doing
of
that.
you.
So I like to. I'm a movie guy, so I really like jumping into the characters and
All right.
being
So,
a character.
all right. So,
I don't know if that meets y'all weird meter, but
it depends. Okay. So,
Weird.
can we delve into that just a
Okay,
little? Do you mind?
No.
All right. So, can we role play a little bit? Like,
oh shit.
I'm gonna be the TV,
Okay.
and I'm gonna say something because I want to see how you do it. I want to see how you do it, right?
Okay,
And I should probably text somebody right now to go to his house and plant cameras so we could see how he does it. But okay, so I'm the TV, right? And I'm just talking. Johnny, I am not in the mood for your crap today.
I don't know if I would have responded to. All right, just for the sake of it. All right, let's go for another line. Do another line. Let me get in my. DiCaprio.
Johnny, I'm not in the mood for your crap today.
Did I ask what you were in the mood for?
Oh, that's how you do it?
What do you mean? Is that how we do it?
Oh, so we're gonna keep doing it?
See, she ain't about that life. She ain't about that life. She ain't about
She ain't
that.
about the improv.
I just feel like it
eh.
was no, because
You see how it was?
no.
What do you mean? That's how it
Because
be.
that's where the weirdness started to come
Hey,
in.
you asked him
And-
the question.
Listen,
That
man,
is
don't
the
judge me.
weird.
I just wanted to know the one response. I
That
didn't
is
want to
the
do a
weirdest
complete
I said I
A
had to get in
complete
my zone.
scene. Oh,
I
all
had to get
right.
in my Denzel DiCaprio.
I copy that.
All right. So, do you believe in the simulation theory?
Do I believe in the simulation theory?
Simulation theory.
That we're in a simulation?
Do I believe that? Do I believe in the simulation theory? I've been watching this show called Westworld a lot, which is like really cool and like in regards to like simulations and stuff. But I do believe that we don't have this shit figured out. I don't think that anything is true. I think because life is so complicated and men, like humans, have the ability to deceive and have different angles of perception. I don't think any of us have it right. And I don't think that there's a simulation because I do believe that you are the master of your own universe. And if you're truly the master of your own universe, or at least journeying to being the master of your universe, you control your outcomes. You understand what happens to you a lot more.
Isn't it possible that in the simulation, that's what they make you believe?
That's a part
I mean, that's
of
if
the
that's what you
idea of it.
believe, though. That's if you believe that. But I believe that that nobody's puppeteering me. Every decision that I've made, I'm making. Every question that I have, the answer is at some point in my life, or has appeared at some point in my life. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to believe that that could be the simulation,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has that type of control over your.
I wish you had
inside.
said yes. That would have made you cooler.
We're in a simulation.
Yeah, we're in a simulation, guys. My name's Neo.
Neo.
What's yours?
Yeah, I think
Morpheus.
that I just think that's interesting. But
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, nah, fuck all that, man. Like, nah,
like
like you control your life. Like, people have to stop believing that like everything is like somebody being
Yeah.
controlled by someone else.
That's true.
Like, let's be
But
real
why are you
about it.
telling people to stop believing it?
No. You know, I'm telling them to stop because you can't just fully believe that you don't have control.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you know that when there's control systems that you are aware of and you see, oh, that's how they got me. That's one thing.
Yeah. But
But
just like
that's
the
not a-
conspiracy.
Yeah.
Of like,
But
they're doing this to me. They're doing this
I
to me.
like
It's
that you led with none of us know.
Yeah. So like that's why it comes
So-
down to what you believe.
My belief on that is not my question, but I'm just gonna put my answer in there anyway. My belief is we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We have no idea what's happening here.
Yeah.
We don't.
We don't.
Nobody knows. How are they gonna know?
How will they know?
How are they gonna know?
They're gonna know.
If you know, you know, I guess.
Hashtag.
If you know, you know.
Hashtag.
All right. Wonderful.
Hashtag IYKYK.
Yeah, something like that.
Nah, just type it out, man. You're too grown for that. Nah. Oh shit.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yeah.
I love that, we can talk about something that's happening in our society that
Sure.
the conversation needs to be louder about, but also tap into the real human experience of, hey, there are different sides to this. We can get lighthearted, we can have a good time. And we really appreciate everybody for tuning in
Fact.
and having a good time with us. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, the Nola Row Experience Podcast. And should they subscribe, and all of that stuff?
Oh yeah, all the time.
For sure. I just wanted to say before we get out of here, please, if you guys are interested in emergent works or just getting a better grasp on digital literacy and coding, or even just opportunities that are here for young people in New York City.
Sure.
No matter what it is, please feel free to reach out to me at it's eli@emergentworks.org, or you can check us out on social media, on all social media platforms at Emergent Works. That's EMERGENT Works, WORKS _. You can find us at that at name on all platforms. Can't wait to get in touch with y'all. And as
So you
always,
just gave out your email. What if women start emailing you?
so be it. Everybody can learn.
God. Yeah.
Peace, y'all.
Everybody can learn.
All right, much love. Appreciate you.
Great answer. Great answer.
Everybody can learn.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Nola.